Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of our THA 417 online lecture. Today we are looking at the Renaissance and Elizabethan theater. If you want to pronounce it the American way, you can say Renaissance. But if you want to pronounce it the British way, you call it the Renaissance. What is Renaissance and what is its relationship with theater? Renaissance is a French word meaning rebirth. It started in Florence, Italy, in the 14th century and spread over Europe between the 15th and 16th centuries. It symbolized a new era in art, in knowledge, in ideas, and in culture. During the period of Renaissance, there was a rediscovery of classical learnings, philosophy, literature, and the arts, and also new discoveries in travels, inventions, and style. It was therefore a period of great social change, emerging from the Middle Ages onto modernity. Renaissance brought about natural reality in painting. It was a period of great realistic paintings, a period of increased reliance and observation and inductive reasoning. In fact, it is widely held that Renaissance strived to discover the joy of life through human possibilities. As an intellectual revolution, Renaissance gave rise to a system of education and a method of investigation and a method of idea known as Renaissance humanism. Renaissance humanism is a new way of thinking which emphasizes human capabilities. According to Protagoras, man is the measure of all things, unlike in the classical period where we could say that the gods is the measure of all things. Renaissance humanism is a new way of thinking that saw the emergence of the humanities. By humanities, we are referring to non-scientific scholarly discipline like literature, theater arts, philosophy, music, and the others, and also the powers of the humanists to change society. And so Renaissance focuses on the non-scientific discipline, the arts, the humanities, and then the humanists. And it is of the view that with these two, the society can be made a better place to live. And I agree. The centrality of human experience as opposed to religious matters in the study of humanities focused on what it takes to be human. We have said that Renaissance, by laying emphasis on the humanities, strive to change the society through the non-scientific subjects and also through the activities of humanists. There is emphasis on individualism and individual experience. There is also emphasis on what it means to be human, and therefore it emphasizes active virtues that are seen as the attributes of humans. And these include benevolence, compassion, empathy, prudence, justice. Man is seen as a being with limitless possibilities. According to Giovanni Pico della Mirandola, humanity has been assigned no fixed character or limit by God, but instead was free to seek its own level and create its own future. With this statement, the Renaissance tries to draw man's attention away from the supremacy of the gods, away from the one supreme God of the medieval period, to what he himself as man can achieve, can do. This view of living suggests the straining towards absolutes, which negates the classical and medieval emphasis on balance and moderation, We know that both in the classical period and the medieval period, there is emphasis on human moderation. Do not dare the gods. Do not go beyond your capabilities as man, because the gods is over there, and man is seen as a victim in the hands of God, an instrument in the hands of God. But during Renaissance, there is this quest to bring out the best in man. There is this emphasis on man, and man strives to bring out the best in him. So theater, as a product of a people's way of life, was equally influenced by the Renaissance cultural revolution. Elizabethan theater cannot be separated from the reality of Elizabethan life, and it is the life with the ruling ideology of humanism. So what is Elizabethan theater? This is the English theater between the 15th and 16th centuries. It is theater as practiced in England during the Renaissance, when Queen Elizabeth Tudor I was on the English throne. To understand Elizabethan theater, one has to understand Elizabethan society and the ruling ideal or the ruling ideology which determined the people's way of life. Let's look at Elizabethan society and their ruling ideology. When we talk about Elizabethan era, we are referring to the English history of Queen Elizabeth I and her reign from 1558 to 1603. It is often depicted as the golden age in English history. Elizabethan society was a religious society, being a period after the medieval, when the Catholic ideology of the supremacy of only one true God was the ruling ideology in Europe. Unfortunately, because of the shortness of time, we could not treat medieval theater, but I advise you to read up medieval theater. It was that period that Roman Catholicism held sway with its ideology on the supremacy of not the gods, but one true God. And so the greatest tragedy in the medieval period is the loss of soul to Satan. And so, being that the Renaissance is a period immediately after the medieval, it still inherited some of the ideology, making it a religious society and a religious theater. It was a class-structured society which consists from top to bottom, the monarch, who is at the top, followed by the nobility and the gentry, the English gentry, then followed by the yeomen, tenant farmers, the laboring poor, and last but not the least, the homeless and vagrants. Elizabethan society was a conformist society. A conformist society in that everybody strived to maintain his own or her own status in life. There was little idea on cross-carpeting. The strict social structure was maintained, and there was little desire for social mobility or social criticism. There is this saying that divinity hedges the king. That divinity hedges the king. And so you cannot criticize the monarch or the rulers. People saw their status in life as God-given. Respect flows upwards from bottom to the top, and care and paternalism flows downwards from top to bottom. Elizabethan society was within the era of English Renaissance, and hence embraced the spirit of easy life and allegiance to earthly as opposed to religious matters. The Elizabethan man is more inclined to go for earthly matters as opposed to the religious matters. Englishmen went forth to seek new worlds for gold, for praise, and for glory. They were men of adventure, men who they loved easy life, and the wealth, from their discovery was really flowing into England. But humanism was the ruling ideology of the Elizabethan society. Emphasis in life was on exploring human possibilities to make man and the society a better place. The focus was on humans as opposed to the supernatural beings. The emphasis was on humans as opposed to supernatural beings of classical and medieval period. There was quest for the good things of life, including the quest for knowledge and power. It was a learned society, and the humanist writers concentrate more on the qualities of being human in the midst of the quest for material goods and power. Elizabethan society was known for her great achievement in the humanities, especially poetry, arts, literature, and theater. The period remains the greatest period in the history of drama and theater. The content of Elizabethan theater. The content of Elizabethan theater is taken from the way of life of the Elizabethans. Theater emphasized the principles of humanism, dealing with man's interaction with one another and the forces of nature. Nature plays a very important role in the plays of William Shakespeare. There is also man's capacity for virtue and vice. This formed a very good content for the Elizabethans. Man's capacity for virtue and vice, and both are portrayed more as products of personal decision and less than the work of faith. They don't consider it as predestined by God, but products of human choice. You choose to be bad, you choose to be good. You choose to do good, you choose to do bad. And so there is these forces of virtue and vice struggling to take possession of man. And man is the architect of his own, of his own, of his own making. Sorry, they took light. Hey, my God.